The Dragon Balls have revived people, granted immortality, and of course, delivered underwear. Today, we're covering every wish made on the Dragon Balls. Canon, movies, GT, and more. We'll get to wishes that literally restore multiple universes, and one that ended with someone aging like a skeleton. Let's go set by set, starting with the Earthling Dragon Balls created by Kami. The first wish we ever hear being granted was told to us by Bulma, setting up just how they work. It said that a long time before the series began, a man gathered the Dragon Balls and wished to become king. Although it's a legend, it seems likely to be true. The Dragon World we know is unified under a single kingdom, divided into 43 sectors, and governed by a king. So maybe this guy was King Furry's ancestor. The first proper wish we see happen on screen is Oolong's. As the Dragon team gets captured by the Pilaf gang, and the Dragon Balls are stolen, Oolong wishes for the first thing he can think of to stop Pilaf from taking over the world, wishing for the panties of a hot girl.
Come to daddy!
An extremely silly wish that had massive repercussions, kicking off the rest of the series. After the Pilaf arc, we go a whole arc with no wishes. So after the tournament, Goku sets out to find the 4-star Dragon Ball, but comes up against the Red Ribbon Army. Their assassin, Tao Pai Pai, kills Bora in front of his son, Upa. But after Goku defeats Tao, the Red Ribbon Army, Baba's fighters, and even Pilaf again, Goku's able to gather all 7 Dragon Balls, and gives Upa the wish to revive his father, marking the first resurrection in the entire franchise, a pattern that would shape Dragon Ball forever. The first villain to get his wish granted was Demon King Piccolo, after being unleashed by Pilaf and sending his children to kill the best martial artist on Earth. Piccolo's main goal was getting the Dragon Balls. He finally achieved it when Master Roshi failed to use the Mafuba and died, wishing for eternal youth so he could regain his power. The Demon King even killed Shenron before he disappeared, but his reign wouldn't last very long. After Goku defeated King Piccolo, he made his way to Kami's lookout, who fixed up Shenron. Thanks to this, Yamcha and the others were able to bring back to life everyone killed by King Piccolo, particularly Krillin, Roshi, and Chaozu. This makes it Krillin and Chaozu's first revival, but certainly not the last. In the Saiyan arc, after Raditz's arrival and the revelation that stronger Saiyans are on their way, Goku sacrifices himself to stop his brother. So the Dragon team gathers the Dragon Balls, and Roshi asks Shenron to revive Goku after he's done training with King Kai. This is one of the most important wishes in the franchise, showing us that there was a whole different world to train in, making the afterlife an opportunity with a convenient way to return. Though I should also mention that Oolong wanted to wish for Shenron to destroy the Saiyans, but that wish was beyond his power. We'll cover the Namekian Dragon Balls later, but when Piccolo was revived by Porunga, Kami was as well. With the Earth's Dragon Balls restored under Kami's return, Mr. Popo makes the critical wish to bring back everyone killed by Frieza and his men on Namek. This included the Grand Elder, ensuring the Namekian Dragon Balls would be usable again. After Piccolo merged with Kami in preparation for Cell's attack, Dende was chosen as the next god of Earth, restoring the Dragon Balls and upgrading them to grant more wishes. Following the Cell games, Yamcha used this new version of Earth's Dragon Balls to undo the devastation Cell caused, reviving the innocent lives lost, including Trunks. Goku, however, could not be revived due to already having been brought back previously, choosing to remain dead on purpose as to not attract any more evildoers. After reviving everyone, the team wonder what to do with the second wish. Yamcha jokes about getting a gift for his girlfriend, and he's just ignored. Krillin wants to turn the androids back into humans, but Shenron makes it clear that that is beyond his power. Instead, Krillin wishes for the self-destruct bombs inside 17 and 18 to be removed. This act had a clear impact on 18, who ends up marrying Krillin, while 17 felt he owed a debt to Krillin, and would end up being what ultimately pushed him to enter the Tournament of Power. In a weird way, this one wish saved the multiverse. Although not seen in the original manga, the Pilaf gang actually get the Dragon Balls during the 7 years of peace after the Cell games, wishing to be young again. A little too young. We do see the future timeline version in a bonus Dragon Ball Super manga chapter, where Piccolo dies right after the wish is made, and the balls become inactive. Either way, they do get the same wish made in the present. In the Majin Buu arc, the day of Goku's visit to Earth is interrupted by Shin and Kibito, warning about Babidi's plan to bring back Majin Buu. Through their battles, Vegeta gives in to Babidi's power to finally challenge Goku. And to show that he's really serious about this, he kills a bunch of World Tournament attendees. So while Goku and Vegeta had their fight, the B team looked for the Dragon Balls. Yamcha wishes for the good people who were killed that day to be revived, bringing back those at the the tournament and even Kibito. They were going to make more wishes, but Goku comes in and stops them, so they can have the Dragon Balls in reserve, in case things go south. Sadly, this wish was kind of a waste, since Buu would end up killing everyone on Earth anyways just a few hours later. After Kid Buu's defeat, peace finally returned to Earth, though there was one issue. Fat Buu was still around. Vegeta wanted to get rid of him, but Goku has a better idea. He can stay on Earth, and when the Dragon Balls are restored, they can just wish for everyone's memories of Majin Buu to be erased. That way, Buu can live with them, and humanity won't have to bear that horrible trauma. Since we've been going through chronological order, the next wish made on the Earth Dragon Balls was in Dragon Ball Daima. After finding out about Buu's defeat, Goma, Degisu, and Neva make their way to Earth to use those Dragon Balls, with a few wishes in mind. Neva restored the Dragon Balls early, and Goma wished for the Z Fighters to be turned to kids. He was also going to wish for the evil third eye, but Shenron said that the extra wishes are only for repeated customers, so they settled for kidnapping Dende, just as good. Finally, we move on to Dragon Ball Super. Or a Z movie, I guess. Either way, Lord Beerus goes to Earth looking for the Super Saiyan God. Goku has the idea to ask Shenron about it. In every version of the story, Shenron tells them how to bring forth the Super Saiyan God, a ritual involving 6 Saiyans, and just exactly what he was, a good Saiyan of old who battled the evil ones. And then he disappears, because Beerus freaks him out, kickstarting a new set of transformations, new levels of power, and a whole new Dragon Ball generation. Then, in Resurrection F, the remnants of the Frieza army make their way to Earth. Sorbet and Tagoma force the Pilaf gang to summon Shenron, wishing to bring back Frieza. Though he warned that the Emperor would be revived in pieces, the wish was made anyways. Maybe it's because the Pilaf gang had used the Dragon Balls before, but they're actually allowed more wishes. But instead of letting the Frieza force have their way, Shu screams out that he wants 1 million Zeni. In the movie, that's it for the wishes, but the anime added one more wish, with Mai asking for ice cream. It could have been a lot worse if they didn't step in. By the end of the movie, although not seen on screen, Bulma mentions that she will use the Dragon Balls to restore the city that was destroyed by Frieza when he arrived on Earth. So, just assume she did it. At the beginning of the Universe 6 arc, Bulma is tasked with finding the last remaining Super Dragon Ball, using the Earth set to ask Shenron to help. Sadly, the universe is so expansive, it may not even be in Universe 7, so Bulma has to make a new Dragon Radar instead, and the wish becomes Beerus asking Shenron to just leave. Following the Goku Black arc, there was a short period of peace. Goku had promised King Kai to revive him, but never got around to it, so he gathered the Dragon Balls to do it. Because only one wish was made recently, and the others weren't used up, there was still 2 wishes left. A bunch of the Z Fighters have wishes they want, but the one that gets it is Gohan, since Pan has been sick, using Shenron to make her feel all better. Goku tries to still get King Kai's wish granted, but Shenron leaves before he can. In Dragon Ball Super Broly, as the battle between Broly and Gogeta come to an end, Sheila and Lemo betray Frieza to steal the Dragon Ball, and wish Broly back to planet Vampa, saving their new friend from that lunatic fusion. Then Shenron leaves, keeping his policy that the extra wishes are only for repeated customers. In Dragon Ball Super Superhero, with a new android threat approaching, and no Goku nor Vegeta on Earth to help, Piccolo heads to the lookout for a desperate request. He wants his power awoken, just like Guru once did for Gohan and Krillin. Dende says that he's still too young to do that, so he upgrades the Dragon Balls instead. When Piccolo summons Shenron, he uses the first wish to unlock his potential, but Shenron throws in a mysterious bonus on top of that. We see that bonus later on, as the Namekian transforms into Orange Piccolo. And since there were 2 wishes left, Bulma asks for a butt lift and longer eyelashes, because that's what you've been reduced to, Shenron. I should also mention that in Broly, it's implied that Bulma has already been using Shenron for cosmetic surgery, and so we make it to Dragon Ball GT. Earth had been chaos ever since Mew and Gero opened the gates to hell, and the constant use of wishes corrupted the Dragon Balls with negative energy. Now that they've been purified, Shenron tells Goku that it's time to go, but as a favor, he grants one last wish, to revive everyone killed ever since the gates of hell opened. But the world is not restored, as it is now up to humanity to solve their own problems without the Dragon Balls. Goku leaves on Shenron's back, though he does help him stop by to see a few friends along the way. I also want to touch on the GT Special, where, although not directly granted by Shenron, Goku Jr. does get the 4-star Dragon Ball and wishes for Grandma Pan's health, only to be told by Goku's spirit that you actually need to collect all 7, and that it was his bravery that saved her, not the Dragon Balls. And that's every wish made on the Earth Dragon Balls in the anime series. But the Dragon Balls have granted a lot more wishes in alternate timelines and stories. So let's go through the movies, specials, and even weird attractions. In Dragon Ball's first movie, a girl named Pansy escaped from her homeland after King Gurumes began to mine it for everything it had. He's been looking for the Dragon Balls to quench his endless hunger. By the end of the movie, Bulma uses the Dragon Balls in Gurume's belly to summon the dragon and explode the king inside out. Pansy then wishes to heal her homeland. The wish restores the land's beauty, and it even turns Gurumes back into a normal human. In the third Dragon Ball movie, Mystical Adventure, we get an alternate story where Chaozu is an emperor, Tien is his bodyguard, and they hold a tournament. After Tao kills Bora during their bout, Goku gets launched into Korin Tower, teams up with the Dr. Slump gang, defeats him, and uses the Dragon Balls at the end of the movie to revive Bora, as the credits roll with a great song. Then there's Path to Power, a retelling of the origin story of Goku and the Red Ribbon Army, having an epic finale where Android 8 sacrifices himself for Goku, and after launching one of the best Kamehamehas ever, Goku uses the Dragon Balls to restore Android 8 without his self-destruct bomb inside. For the first Dragon Ball Z movie, we get one of the few villains who actually makes a successful wish on the Dragon Balls. In Dead Zone, Garlic Jr. returns to claim the title of Kami, kidnapping Gohan to get the Dragon Ball. He uses his wish to get immortality, but ends up being pushed into the Dead Zone and trapped. What a waste. In World's Strongest, Dr. Kotchin uses the Dragon Balls to release Dr. Willo's lab from the Arctic, since it was buried under unmeltable ice. He would then kidnap and brainwash Piccolo, and try to take both Goku and Roshi's bodies for Willow. Maybe he could have just wished for him to have a new body instead.
Thank you, everyone. Now I can live a normal life again.
In Tree of Might, a terrible fire consumes the forest, so the heroes gather the Dragon Balls in a montage and wish for it to be healed. Cute wish, but then Turles literally kills the planet again with the Tree of Might. A deer even dies giving Goku Genki. Tough break for nature in this one. Lord Slug, just like with King Piccolo, wishes for eternal youth after coming to Earth and covering the sun, bringing nothing but darkness in his wake. But eternal youth would not be enough to stop a pseudo Super Saiyan, Kaioken times 100, and a solar spirit bomb. In Broly's second coming, as Broly attacks, Gohan arrives to defend his brother, Trunks and Videl. In the final Kamehameha confrontation, despite Shenron not being summoned, a vision of Goku appears in response to Goten's emotional wish for his father's presence, ending Broly with a family Kamehameha. In Fusion Reborn, as Otherworld slips into Earth, Gohan and the others gather the Dragon Balls to fix it, but Shenron isn't able to do it. That's all King Yama's domain, so the movie ends with him still waiting for a wish. In Wrath of the Dragon, the wizard Hoi tricks the dragon team into collecting the Dragon Balls and freeing Tapion, an ancient warrior who has half of Hirudegarn sealed within him. He goes on to use them to fully unleash the monster and wreak havoc on Earth, until Goku punches him really hard. By the end of the movie, as Tapion departs, Goku mentions that they'll summon Shenron again to revive those killed by Hirudegarn. In the first 4D Dragon Ball attraction at Universal Studios Japan, someone who seems to be Pilaf wishes for Frieza to be revived stronger than ever. But of course, Goku, Vegeta, Krillin, and Piccolo take care of him. This was right before Resurrection F. And then they made another. In the second 4D attraction, while God Broly interrupts the tournament and beats down our heroes, Bulma summons Shenron and makes a wish. Sadly, there's like no good footage of this thing online, so I can't actually figure out what the wish is. It seems to be to get Goku's power back, or maybe, given the context, the ability to fuse with the audience, since Goku fuses with us to defeat Broly. I have a video all about these weird specials if you want to find out more. In 1990, Goku appeared in Yamada Katsute Nai Wink, a variety show alongside the real-life hostess Kuniko Yamada, where they end up using the Dragon Balls to give her superpowers, specifically the ability to use the Kamehameha. In Kyutai Panic Adventure Returns, a special crossover between Kochikame, One Piece, and Dragon Ball, shown at the Fuji TV Orb, Goku and the other heroes battle against Enel from One Piece, where the whole city gets damaged. So by the end of it, other characters from Dragon Ball show up and use the Dragon Balls and wish for everything to be fixed, with Shenron even appearing staying within the orb and breathing fire. In a special Dragon Ball Super animation shown at the Tokyo Skytree, Goku is about to use the Dragon Balls to wish to meet someone strong, only to be called away by King Kai. So instead, Frieza shows up and wishes to use the power of the Dragon Balls to reveal the secrets of the Saiyan strength, which really only means we get a montage of the previous movies and anime, but it's kinda fun. In Dragon Ball Evolution, yes, I'm even counting this one, King Piccolo uses Goku's Ozaru transformation as a weapon, killing Master Roshi. Goku is able to take control of himself back and uses the Dragon Balls to bring his master back to life. In Cross Epoch, a crossover collaboration between Akira Toriyama and Eiichiro Oda, Mr. Satan wishes to become King of Earth. This is a weird world, where both sets of characters live totally different lives, but Shenron being summoned alerts everyone that he's having a tea party. Next up is the 90s Dr. Slump crossover. In this little-known crossover, Goku has landed in Penguin Village, where his radar gets broken. While he waits, the Dragon Balls end up getting gathered, and everyone in the village wants their wish, all while Blue and Murasaki try to get them back. When they summon Shenron, Blue wants his hair back, since he got a bad haircut earlier, while Murasaki wants to take over the world. In the end, everyone in the village shouts their wishes, but only one is heard: a new tractor for the farmer. In Dragon Ball Heroes, Fu creates the Prison Planet, an amalgamation of worlds, where he had warriors search for a special set of Dragon Balls he created. This is technically not the same Shenron as Earth's Shenron, but I wasn't gonna separate them. Majin Zoto is the one to finally summon him, but Oolong steals the wish, using it to release everyone from the Prison Planet back to where they came from. In the game though, these special Dragon Balls are instead used by Majin Zoto to escape the planet, once Trunks and Mai corner him. Also in the Heroes game, after the events of the Universe Tree during the new Space-Time War, Goku asks Shenron to restore the broken fake universe and their escape. At the end of the Dragon Ball Heroes manga, Eos and the Warrior in Black use the Dragon Balls to wish those who were displaced by Ozoto to be brought back to their rightful time, though they first use Super Shenron to restore space and time, and the Dark Dragon Balls to heal Goku. But we'll talk more about them later on. Although I will mention the big video game wishes, I won't focus too much on them. We're not counting game mechanic wishes here, like Dragon Stones or Zenny, but I wanted to mention some important video game story ones. In Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1, Xenotrunks gathers a special set of Dragon Balls in Toki Toki City, and wishes for a warrior who can defend history. Shenron responds by summoning the player-created character. Later on, Demigra hijacks the Dragon Balls, and wishes for the 3 major villains of Z to be revived at once. But Demigra wasn't the only one to use the Dragon Balls, as the Supreme Kai of Time summons Shenron, and asks for Goku's help during these final battles. In Xenoverse 2, Towa and Mira interrupt the Pilaf gang from stealing the second wish in Res F, reviving Cooler and reconstructing him into Meta Cooler. And by the end of the story, after the crisis is resolved, Chronoa wishes for a large feast to celebrate with the whole Time Patrol. In Dragon Ball Fusions, Tekka and Pinich wish for a massive tournament involving fighters from all the eras. Shenron grants the request by creating the Time-Space Rift, merging time periods, locations, and more into one single battleground. At one point in the story, Pilaf attempts to summon someone to save him from being attacked, but the vague wish results in Broly being summoned, and eventually becoming a great ape. Tekka's team also makes another summon, with your team wishing on Shenron to open up time-space. But sadly, since this new world was created with Beerus' help, Shenron can't do anything about it. I also said I wasn't going to cover game mechanics, but in Dragon Ball Online, I know you guys have probably been waiting for this one, I'm known for bringing up Dragon Ball Online every 2 seconds. The game takes place in the far future of Age 1000. At one point in time, Dende deactivated the Dragon Balls, at the request of the Elder Kai. But with the Time Breakers, the Frieza Force and more attacking Earth, Dende reawakens the Dragon Balls, making them into a bunch of smaller, weaker sets. To try and encourage new heroes to find them, players may summon Shenron to unlock special transformations depending on their race: Super Saiyan, Great Namekian, or Pure Majin. But there are many more wishes through games, and be sure to comment any I didn't mention. But for a slightly larger scope, there's things like the VR Versus endings. Goku wishes for food, Gohan wishes Chi-Chi would forget about him studying for a while so he can hang out with Icarus. Vegeta wishes to have the world beneath his feet, so Shenron makes him literally stand over the world as a giant. Piccolo wishes to fight the strongest person, so Mr. Satan shows up. And finally, Trunks wishes for his dad in the future to return to life. Aw, too bad Goku Black is gonna ruin that in Shin Budokai, where Piccolo tries to fix other worlds slipping into Earth. But once again, Shenron can't do it. What he can do is wish for a Teen Gohan who's appeared in this future to go back to his normal time, only to find out that this Gohan is actually just dreaming, and his yearning to see his dead father again was so strong that he manifested in physical form in the future, or Mr. Satan wishing to be the most famous person in the universe to get in the way of Babidi in Shin Budokai 2. But I wanted to focus on the main wishes that people actually care about.
Yes! I know wishing to become an intergalactic superstar might seem a bit weird and a little, selfish, but it was to stop your evil. And honestly, I'm kind of excited about it.
He's just like me! He's just like me for real! And that covers every single wish made on the Earth Dragon Balls. But Earth isn't the only planet with miracle orbs, because far from there, we find Planet Namek. The Dragon Balls on Namek are a whole different beast. They only answer to Namekian, and Porunga can grant 3 wishes at a time, though at first, he could only revive 1 person per wish. When the heroes learn that Namek has its own Dragon Balls, their priority is to bring back Piccolo, so Kami and the Earth Dragon Balls would return as well. Dende acts as the interpreter, and tells Porunga to revive Piccolo, but with Frieza on the way, they need him on Namek soon, making the second wish for him to be teleported directly to Namek. Porunga drops him on the planet, but completely far away from the heroes and closer to Nail instead, setting up their fusion. Vegeta then tries to force Dende to wish for eternal life, but he doesn't get it. Guru dies mid-summon, Porunga disappears, and the whole planet is left hanging. But when Shenron revives everyone killed by Frieza and his men, Guru returns for just long enough to allow for another wish. Frieza tries to get eternal life, but Dende gets to it first. With the planet about to explode, Dende wishes for Porunga to teleport everyone from Namek to Earth, leaving only Goku and Frieza behind for their final battle. 130 days after the battles on Namek, Porunga was summoned again, since Krillin died on Namek before the planet exploded. His soul is in another part of the universe. Dende wishes to transfer Krillin's soul to the North Galaxy's Earth check-in station, so the next wish can actually reach him. Once Krillin's paperwork is in order, Dende asks Porunga to bring him back to life. This marks Krillin's second resurrection and clears the way to bring back the rest of the Z-Fighters. They also try to transfer Goku's soul, assuming that he's dead, but Porunga reveals that Goku is not only alive, but refusing to be moved. So the next wish goes to Yamcha, bringing him back from his death at the hands of the Cybermen during the Saiyan invasion. They then have to wait another 130 days to get the rest of the wishes. So next up is Chaozu, undoing his sacrifice from the battle against Nappa, and with a whole new body he got in Otherworld, with the last of the Saiyanar casualties being Tien. For the final wish of this period, Dende has Porunga relocate the Namekians to a new home world, later known as New Namek. King Kai was able to find a planet similar enough to the original for them, and Dende has a tearful goodbye. Surely we will never see him again. In the Buu saga, after Earth is destroyed by Kid Buu, Dende and the Kais go to Namek, where Murray and the others are already waiting to lend their help. Dende's first wish is for Earth to be restored, with the planet back. Dende uses the second wish to revive everyone who died from the start of the tournament, when the Majins made themselves known, excluding the villains. This brings back almost the entire population of Earth, paving the path for the Spirit Bomb. For the final wish we see in the original manga, Dende asks Porunga to restore Goku's energy, so he can finish Kid Buu off with a Spirit Bomb, pushing Goku back into Super Saiyan and defeating Buu. But not before hoping that he returns as a good guy one day. Thank you, Dragon Balls! In a bonus Dragon Ball Super chapter, years after blowing up King Kai's planet during the fights against Cell, King Kai gets Murray's help to wish his planet back. He wants a larger world, with less gravity, etc., only for Goku to teleport in, say that it wouldn't be any good for training, and wish for the exact same planet. For whatever reason, he decided to just grant one wish this time, and it makes Goku look like a pretty bad friend. Then, around the time of Battle of Gods, Kibito Shin decides that staying fused isn't necessary anymore. He uses a wish on the Namekian Dragon Balls to undo the Potara fusion, splitting back into Shin and Kibito. In the manga of Super, he originally went to get the Namekian Dragon Balls to keep them away from Champa. It's also worth noting that, in Daima, he instead defused with the help of Buu. In the Super anime version of Resurrection F, after Piccolo is killed protecting Gohan from Frieza, the group uses Porunga to bring him back to life. We don't see Porunga for a while, but in the Moro arc, The wizard escapes prison alongside Cranberry. They head to Namek and steal the Dragon Balls, using a device to mind control Eska into summoning Porunga. Cranberry's first wish is to be fully healed after being badly injured. Then, on Moro's orders, Cranberry uses the second wish to return all of Moro's magic back to its former glory, where he can finally overwhelm the Z-Warriors. For the third wish, Moro himself steps in, kills Cranberry, and has Porunga release every single prisoner held by the Galactic Patrol. But after Moro is defeated, the surviving Namekians call Porunga one more time to undo the damage. They wish for the planets and lives taken during Moro's rampage to be restored, cleaning up the aftermath of the arc. Stepping into Dragon Ball GT, when the Black Star Dragon Balls caused Earth to explode, the survivors flee to new planet Tuffle, while Goku and the others go to Namek, where Murray uses the Namekian Dragon Balls to reconstruct Earth, allowing everyone to return home. In the spin-off manga, that time I was reincarnated as Yamcha. This version of Yamcha goes to planet Namek prior to the Saiyans' attack. He ends up training with Nail, and uses the Namekian Dragon Balls to be teleported to Earth. Just like with Shenron, Porunga has appeared in some other stories. For example, in Budokai 1, Frieza's what-if story features him winning and getting his wish for immortality, while in Tenkaichi 2, Zarbon's what-if has him wish for eternal beauty and youth. There was also a funny Ford Focus ad, where Krillin wishes for a car with a Sony sound system, one with a rear-view camera, and a last car with EPA estimated 42 highway miles per gallon, only for Porunga to give him a single Ford Focus. That's every Porunga wish, but there's one dragon out there with no limits at all. Created by the dragon god Zalama, these planet-sized orbs summon Super Shenron, a dragon with no limits. Anything spoken in the divine language is granted, no conditions. The first time we saw him in action was after Universe 7 wins the Tournament of Destroyers. But rather than wishing for something selfish, Beerus orders Whis to restore Universe 6's Earth, since it had become inhospitable a long time ago. At least Champa would stop annoying him about Earthling food from then on. In the Dragon Ball Super manga, as a bonus illustration, we see that Zamasu's first plan was to wish for Monaka's body, truly believing that he was the strongest in Universe 7. But of course, he realizes right away that this isn't true. Though not all Zamasus got the memo, as later on in the manga, one of the merged Zamasu copies remained as Monaka. Learning from his mistake, Zamasu used the Super Dragon Balls again, this time wishing to exchange bodies with Goku. This creates Goku Black, allowing Zamasu to continue with his Zero Mortals plan, beginning by recruiting another version of himself from a different reality. In the future timeline, this other Zamasu uses the Super Dragon Balls to wish to become immortal, unable to be killed by even a Hakai. The only thing that can erase him now is none other than Lord Zeno. The following arc, as the Tournament of Power brought nearly every universe together, erasing one each one by one until only Universe 7 remained. The last man standing was Android 17, who was granted one wish. Instead of asking for a boat like he originally wanted, he wishes for all the erased universes to be restored, bringing back countless worlds and trillions of lives. This is the single largest act of restoration in Dragon Ball history. In Dragon Ball Heroes, during the Universe Creation Saga, Fu attempts to create a new universe using the Universe Tree, a structure that absorbs energy from the existing universes, draining their planets and inhabitants to fuel its growth. Beerus and Champa gathered the Super Dragon Balls and summoned Super Shenron, wishing for the roots of the Universe Tree to be destroyed, buying Goku time as the tree withered away. Majin Ozoto's interference causes severe distortions across space and time. To undo the damage, the old Kaioshin of Time, Eos, gathers the Super Dragon Balls, wishing for space-time to be restored to how it was before Ozoto's intervention. The Cerulean Dragon Balls are very different. There's only two in the set, they're smaller, faster to gather, and don't have a cooldown. They summon Torombo, a dragon who can grant powerful wishes at a cost. Long before Goku's adventures, the Saiyans and the Frieza Force attacked planet Cereal, but Bardock, Goku's father, had a moment of grace. He saved a young boy and his mother, and faced off against Gas and the Heaters. The Namekian, Monaito, used the Dragon Balls he just inherited to make a wish on Torombo. He was about to wish him to planet Vegeta, but Bardock refused. Instead, the wish was for Bardock's two sons to grow up thriving. We don't see it on screen, and the Dragon Balls are lost for many years after. During the present events of the Granola arc, consumed by revenge, the boy Bardock saved gathers the Cerulean Dragon Balls and wishes to become the strongest mortal in Universe 7. The dragon does grant it, but only by converting nearly all of Granola's remaining lifespan into raw power. Granola becomes the strongest in the universe, but with only 3 years left to live, a price he was willing to pay in order to avenge his people. Later, Elec forces Torombo to grant the same wish for Gas, but with no regard of the cost of his brother's life. Gas continues to grow stronger and stronger, while his life is burnt away, until he's nothing but a husk of bones for Frieza to kill. This would have been the latest set of Dragon Balls, but we recently got a new one, in the Demon Realm Dragon Balls. There's only 3 of them, 1 in each Demon Realm level, summoning the original Porunga. After Goma's wish on Earth's Dragon Balls to turn the Z Fighters into children, the heroes head into the Demon Realm to get Dende back. During the final fight against Goma, Glorio, who had been hired to work under Arinsu, betrays her to help his friends instead. Using the Demon Realm Dragon Balls, Glorio wishes to restore everyone affected by Goma's wish back to the Rifle Age, giving them a chance to finally stop Goma. Now, let's move on to the GT exclusive dragon, Ultimate Shenron, summoned by the Black Star Dragon Balls. Ultimate Shenron was a dragon with catastrophic consequences, originally created by the nameless Namekian, who would split into Kami and Piccolo. At the start of GT, Pilaf accidentally wishes for Goku to be turned back into a child, when sneaking into the lookout to use this old set. The wish scatters the Black Star Dragon Balls across the universe, and sets a countdown. If they aren't returned within a year, Earth will be destroyed, kicking off the events of Dragon Ball GT. But that wasn't the only time they were used. As Baby makes his way to Earth and possesses Vegeta, Dende, and everyone else, the Tuffle Parasite uses the Black Star Dragon Balls to restore a planet Vegeta, relocating it into Earth's solar system as a new planet plant. The Dragon Balls scatter across the universe once more, continuing the countdown of destruction. After Baby's defeated, Piccolo sacrifices himself in Earth's explosion, so the Black Star Dragon Balls would be deactivated for good. But even the Black Star Dragon Balls have shown up in games, particularly in Ultimate Tenkaichi's Hero Mode, where Omega Shenron had used the Ultimate Dragon Balls, in this alternate future for Dragon Ball's Earth prior to the start of the story, where he wished for Earth to be plunged into chaos, transforming it into a living hell, with evil androids, Baby Vegeta, the Ginyu Force, and many more running amok. The created hero would defeat them all, including Omega, as a mere Super Saiyan, and finally battle Ultimate Shenron to purify him from the negative energy. After Ultimate Shenron's defeat, the player character uses the Dragon Balls to wish for the negative energy of the world to be released, and for things to go back to the way they were. But the dragon cannot grant this wish because of how powerful the pollution is. Instead, the hero wishes to revive those killed, and promises to work hard to make the world back into a paradise. Since we talked about Omega Shenron, it's worth bringing up the fact that Mr. Popo in GT mentions that there was another planet where the Shadow Dragons were born, a world which was consumed by the negative energy and exploded, taking out everything around it. We don't know who they were, but they sure made a lot of wishes. We've already covered the Demon Realm Dragon Balls, but we gotta talk about the other Demon Realm Dragon Balls. The Dark Dragon Balls are a corrupted set created by a brainwashed Dende in Heroes for use by the Dark Empire. This was technically the first Demon Realm set we ever saw, as they scatter across space and time and power up the villains along the way. When gathered, they summon Dark Shenron, a twisted counterpart to our original beloved dragon. First up, Mekikabora, the ancient Demon Realm king and father of Towa and Dabura, uses the Dark Dragon Balls to wish for his youthful power of old. As the Time Patrol storms the castle, Dark Shenron warns him that the wish is gonna take a long time because of how immense his old power was. And Dark Shenron is even forced to fight our heroes until the wish is completed. Later on, in the game version of the Mekikabora saga, Dark Shenron is summoned in the Time Nest, using darkness-infused Earth Dragon Balls. Xenotrunks tries to wish away Mekikabora's brainwashing of Kronoa, but Dark Shenron doesn't have the power to do it remotely. Instead, Demigra uses a loophole, wishing for the ability to erase Mekikabora's mind control himself, only at a close range. In the Heroes manga, we find out that Demigra used Dark Shenron to wish for the power to counter Mekikabora, the Power of Light, a force capable of opposing Mekikabora's reality warping abilities. He uses this to save Trunks and the others, but because Demigra is filled with dark energy, he's unable to fully control the power. Back to the arcade game, in his most extreme act, Mekikabura wishes on Dark Shenron for him to use the Chaos Ball he created to attempt a total destruction of space and time. He's able to just do this himself in the manga. Later on, at the end of the new Space-Time War Saga, Xenobardock gathers the Dark Dragon Balls and summons Dark Shenron to make 3 wishes. First is to undo the damage caused by the Crimson Mass Saiyan and the collapse of the pseudo-universe. Next, Bardock wishes for the pseudo-universe itself to disappear completely, removing it in a way that prevents any backlash or impact to the main timeline. And finally, Bardock wishes for Dark Shenron to awaken the absolute limits of the Warriors in Black. Bardock admits that this was a selfish wish, but a necessary one for the battles ahead, as the Super Space-Time Tournament is set to begin. After the final battles against Majin Ozoto, where Goku defeated him with a Silver Dragon Fist, Eos once again comes in to make the wishes. Dark Shenron is used to heal both Goku and Xeno Goku's wounds, marking the final wish on the Dark Dragon Balls. Super and normal Shenron would then repair time and space and return everyone home, which I mentioned previously, finally ending the Dragon Ball Heroes manga, as well as the entire Heroes section of the franchise as a whole. Oh, Heroes, how I miss you. I will say it's totally possible that I missed some wishes. Other Dragon Ball spin-offs aren't as well documented as the ones I covered. Like, I'm sure they use the Dragon Balls in all New Gadget Super Lovers, but I have no way of knowing. Anyways, thanks for watching. Be sure to Dragon Fist that subscribe button, and if you're looking for more deep dives into Dragon Ball, then check out my video on Akira Toriyama's original vision for Dragon Ball Super.